Hello. Hi. I have succumbed to another book TikTok trend book by Emily Henry called People We Meet on Vacation, just to succumb to the curse of the TikTok book that just gives me more suffering every time I read one of them. So I read People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry in 2 days ahead of the movie that's coming out, the Netflix film that's coming out in like 2 weeks time or something. Yeah, this is not a hate review. I did not hate this book, but it is a very frustrating book with a very interesting premise that feels wasted and feels there was a lot of potential that was not completely developed and stuff, but we're gonna break it down. I'm gonna talk about it. Come with me to break down People We Meet on Vacation. Just a heads up about Emily Henry. Emily Henry is this incredibly successful author that I'm not very accustomed to. This is my first book of hers that I've read. I think this is the most popular one. She's famous for writing books that a lot of people read on vacation, actually, like those books I pick up at the airport, but like a good version of them. This one is no different. And honestly, I studied marketing, and great titles for books, because if you're like a normal person and you are going to be like, I want a book to take on my vacation so that I can read on the plane, on the beach, you're going to search for that, and her books are going to come up because her book titles are literally like People We Meet on Vacation, or like there's a book of hers called Beach Read, which is also very popular. Like, those books are going to come up because of the keywords. Like, that's smart stuff. Like, I respect her for that. She's also a pretty decent writer. Like, she's a good writer compared to a lot of her peers in that genre. She writes in the romance genre. I think there are no popular books of hers that aren't in that genre. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think she's one of the authors that popularized that, the cartoon romance covers that we see everywhere. And I would say they're very appropriate for her, like, brand. I don't understand why every other author started using it.
I'm not being hyperbolic here. Please look at this cotton candy shop explosion. What are we doing?
I understand that you want people to recognize what your book is about immediately. I think the most of those covers are ugly, but Emily Henry, like, she has this style about her, so I do see why it would make sense. The movie adaptation of this book is coming out. It has Tom Blythe, and he was in the Hunger Games prequel movie, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. He was great in that, so I know him from there. And the protagonist of the book is played by the actress who played the protagonist in My Lady Jane, a show that was canceled and should not have been canceled. It was a great show. She was great in it. It was hilarious. Justice for My Lady Jane. So yeah, now we're gonna go through the plot of the book and sort of point out interesting stuff. It's not like exactly like page by page, but it is like a little breakdown of what the book's about, what happens, and some highlights. But first, we're gonna meet our protagonists. Our protagonists are Poppy and Alex. They met at college orientation, and they've been friends for 12 years. So they're 30 now, around 30, I think. And they go on these vacations mostly every year, and that's like their highlight of the year. Alex is this sort of uptight, control freak, likes to stay at home with a book kind of guy. He lives in Ohio and he's a teacher, and Poppy is this travel journalist living in New York. If your book is set in New York and your main character is a woman and she's not working for a magazine or working for a publication or being a journalist of some kind, what are you doing? She's more of a social butterfly, she's eccentric, she's more outgoing, she's more of a wild child, and she loves traveling, and she sort of brings Alex along with her for these trips that they do every year. Some of them on the magazine that she works for, like on their dime, so those are fancier, but they've been doing this for 12 years. And the book is told in a non-linear timeline. It sort of switches between their interactions in present, in their 30s, and the trips that they did before. So chapter 1, it will be like this summer, and then chapter 2 will be like 6 summers ago, 8 summers ago, and then it will be like this summer again, and then it will be like 7 summers ago, 10 summers ago. The backstory is catching up to current day. Basically, we start 12 summers ago and in current day, and then like we're catching up to the present day as the present day is happening. So we're getting context to what is happening as it is happening. And I think that's a great structure, honestly. I am a big fan of the non-linear timeline in books. I just think here it's not always warranted. It could have been better utilized, in my opinion, but we're gonna get to it. So the prologue, or the first chapter, happens in the middle of the story, which places you sort of in an awkward spot, like because the timeline is already so like going back and forth. The first chapter is a little confusing, but they are already acting like a married couple, which is a theme for the whole book, honestly, and it's kind of annoying. But they are at a bar at one of their trips, and they're doing that stuff that couples do. They're like pretend that they don't know each other and like interact as if they didn't know each other, sort of a roleplay situation. I took notes because I thought this was fucking ridiculous. So he's reading a book at a bar, and this is like me. Keep in mind, this is my first impression of these people. Like, I don't know anything about these characters. He's reading a book at a bar because he's not like the other boys. And her opening line to attempt to pick him up, like pretend to pick him up, is, "Hey, tiger." I wanna like this main character, I promise. And then she's like, "Do you come here often?" Which honestly, after "Hey Tiger," anything would sound better after that. She accuses him of being there for a funeral. That's like her pickup line. Like, "Are you here for a funeral?" Because he's like dressed in black, I guess. Weird fucking like pickup line. This girl's dialogue is very questionable. She's quirky and stuff, and that's a big point. That's basically the prologue. We kind of get their dynamic established, where he's more of a control freak. He likes things in order, and he's more of a dad sort of vibe, if that makes any sense. And she's more of a wild character, wild girl, wild person. Yeah, he doesn't like to be uncomfortable. That's a whole thing. He doesn't like to be uncomfortable. And she drags him on these trips that he loves, because apparently they have this dynamic where she brings out the crazy part in him. Oh, and yeah, she's sort of an influencer as well, because being like a travel journalist comes from being an influencer. She's also a college dropout, so I don't know how the fuck she did that. That's kind of unrealistic, to be honest. How does a college dropout get a job at like a major job at a magazine? They explained that she had a travel blog and it became popular, so that's kind of how she pitched herself, like how she presented herself as part of her portfolio to be hired. I find it very hard to believe that like a major publication would still hire her not having like a bachelor's degree at all. But you know, this is fiction and this is a book and this is a fun story. She says that she doesn't post that often despite having 100k followers. The dream, I guess. I think this book is kind of a little like Ohio propaganda. I'm not American, so I'm not familiar with Ohio. I know it's a state in the middle of the US, sort of in there. Major state. Oh my god, I'm gonna get crucified by Americans. No, my culture shock with American stuff is gonna be relevant later on, but I have been to the US. I have traveled to the US. Why is this relevant? Oh, and it is established that they don't talk anymore with each other. Like, there was something that went wrong with their last trip. That was 2 years ago. They've been friends for 12 years. Year 10, they went to Croatia and there was a rift. Something happened, and that's kind of the major mystery of the whole book. Like, you're going throughout most of the book trying to understand, like pick up on what happened, and you're waiting for that moment to come. So now we are in present day, and Poppy is kind of depressed about life. She's trying to find meaning in life. She doesn't remember the last time that she was happy, and she goes to her best friend called Rachel. Rachel is an influencer in New York, truly a menace to society, and she's also working as her basically part-time therapist, and she's like, oh, when was the last time you were happy? And she thinks that the last time she was happy was when she was on vacation with Alex. So she's like, oh, I wanna do a vacation with Alex. Let's like, I'm gonna try to contact him even though we haven't spoken in 2 years after what happened in Croatia that we are not aware of yet. So she starts to rekindle their friendship through text messages, and she convinces him to go on vacation with him under the pretense that her magazine's paying for it. So he thinks the magazine is paying for it. The magazine did not approve of the trip, so she's funding it herself. She's supposed to be like kind of broke, so that's also kind of a weird thing to do. It's not a huge trip, but still, it's a little contradictory, but that's honestly fine. So basically they're merging 2 trips into 1 trip. They're going to his brother's wedding in Palm Springs, but they're staying there a few days before to like travel around and experience Palm Springs. I have been to Palm Springs actually, so that was very interesting for me. But the only interesting thing that happened while I was in Palm Springs was my cousin got food poisoning and was like throwing up all night. It was very warm, as it is going to be in this book. So, and throughout this, one might wonder, these people have known each other for 12 years, which is an incredibly long time. They've been going on these couples trips for years. They think they're friends, and going on these trips for so long with just 2 people implies that you've not made strong enough friendships with other people for them to be included in these trips, or you having similar trips with other people. I understand that you have specific friends that you do stuff with, but in all honesty, having this consistent friendship that's so kind of flirtatious and going on these incredible trips together every year while both of you have sort of crushes on each other even though you don't do anything about it is kind of crazy to me. It feels like torture. Like, people have friends who have crushes on them and they can last years, yes, but 12 years and you've been going on trips where it's just the 2 of you and nothing has happened, allegedly. Insane. By this point, I'm already getting a little bit annoyed at the fact that their friendship is mostly described in a romantic way by the protagonist. Like, she's always talking about like how hot he is, and she's annoyed by his ex-girlfriend who's like on and off girlfriend. He also doesn't like her ex-boyfriends. They flirt with each other all the time. They tell each other they love each other all the time. There's nothing friendly about this. This is a catfish, friends to lovers, because I know, like, they have to turn into lovers at some point, so they can't be, like, stuck as friends and, like, have no chemistry all the time. But they're not acting as friends, almost. They're acting as if they're, like, in the beginning stages of knowing each other that's gonna be turned into a relationship. I think most friends to lovers trope use, like, the childhood friends to lovers trope, so they're friends from childhood, and then as they mature they begin to develop feelings for each other. I think that makes more sense, given that when you're a child you're not, like, very romantically active, you know. And then we get some context of them meeting in college and sort of their first interactions, how they didn't become, like, friends right away. They became friends later, going back to Ohio, like to their home in Ohio, and that's sort of how their friendship started. They took a lot of trips throughout the years after getting out of college, when they had more money, or even during college, because Alex has a PhD, so he's been in college for a long time, so he's still studying, she's working, and they're taking trips as well. They have, like, road trips. They have a budget Chicago trip. They go to Vancouver. That's one of the biggest ones, because that's their their first international trip where we meet people for the first time, because for a book called People We Meet on Vacation, they don't meet a lot of people. Like, it's mostly based on them. I read the European version, which is called You and Me on Vacation, or Me and You on Vacation. I hate the title. I think it's so boring, but it is more accurate to what the plot is. Like, the plot is them 2 on vacation. Everyone else is very, very relevant. It's kind of a really, like, tertiary character situation. Like, not even tertiary characters, they're like looking like background people, which is really annoying for me because I thought some of them were really interesting and I would like to spend more time with them. Alas, we are stuck with these two people whose dynamic is often very, very annoying. Oh god, this book is very beloved actually. I don't think this book is hated by anyone, honestly. So apologies if I offend anyone. I found this book's dynamic to be a little annoying. So yeah, the first part of the book is a real slog. I'm gonna be honest, I fell asleep 3 times while reading this book. 2 of them were during the first part of the book, like the first half of the book. We are going back and forth between previous trips and present day. Previous trips include like destinations such as like a budget Chicago like road trip. There's a Vancouver trip. Might be like my favorite trip that is described, even though it isn't described all that much. I wish there was more description of the places that they go to. They also go to San Diego. They also go to New Orleans. They go to Tuscany, and then they go to fuck, I forgot. There's so many trips. Oh, there is a Croatia trip. That's the one that goes sideways. And oh, there's also, I think there's a Nashville one. Am I tripping? Don't take me up on that. Please, Emily Henry fans, don't come for me. The main interesting plot of the book is present day, and they're going to Palm Springs, and things are a little bit awkward because they haven't really spoken a lot in the last 2 years. They just started talking again recently, so there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of sort of anxiety, a little unsure how their dynamic is gonna work, like how the trip is gonna go. Alex doesn't know that the trip isn't funded by the magazine, which is a weird thing. Honestly, it's a weird like plot point. I feel like if she just said, oh, the magazine didn't approve, but I want to take a trip, would you be into it? Like it, because they've taken trips together before. It doesn't feel like it would be a major issue. Like, am I missing something? I might be missing something. I miss stuff all the time. I'm human. It happens.
What I'm trying to say is that I actually do really think that Alex would have accepted going on the trip and would have been down for it if she'd been honest with him from the start. If she'd been like, I want to try to fix our friendship, and like, what do you think of going on a trip? I think she didn't need to make it a magazine thing for him to be down for it. Maybe it's just me, but I just think so. Okay, now back to the video.
So in this current trip, they are in Palm Springs, and everything that could go wrong goes wrong. The Airbnb they booked is different from like the pictures, and there's only one bed trope, which I love. Like, I like that trope. Everyone likes that trope. It's a very comedic situation and interesting situation. However, there is like a pull-out chair, so there actually is another bed. So that was a little disappointing, especially two people that like have known each other for so long and have this long-running friendship. Sharing a bed shouldn't really be that issue. I know that there's this sort of like sexual tension going on, so it is a little bit awkward, but I feel like it was a little bit blown out of proportion. I feel like the one bed trope would have worked a little better if they didn't know each other all that well, but that can't happen because it's a friends to lovers. They have to be friends, and they've been friends for so long, but the trope is there even though it's unutilized, because they do stuff despite there being like 2 beds generally, because like there's like a bed and a half. I would rather it like be one bed and they sleep both in the same bed and they don't do stuff together. Like, I love when that happens because that just shows emotional connection rather than like a physical one. Not that like I don't like physical connection, like everyone likes that. It's just you want to balance them out. I'm going on this rant about the one bed trope, but yeah, there's only one bed and a pull-out couch. They fight over who's gonna take it. Alex takes it because he's a gentleman. There's really nothing wrong with Alex as a love interest. Most of the character flaws are with Poppy, like are on Poppy's side, which I found to be a little annoying because there are a lot of character flaws. So sometimes it was hard for me to empathize with their relationship, seeing as like one side of the relationship was very flawed and the other side of the relationship wasn't as much. Like, you really get the sense that these two are really attracted to each other, but are just afraid to act, afraid to ruin their friendship, afraid of rejection. And that feels very earnest and feels very human and feels very real. But what kind of ruins it is the fact that Poppy is always bringing up Alex's girlfriend. She's always like finding a way to put something in between of their moments when they have moments and stuff like that, more than Alex really. She's kind of self-sabotaging, which is a fine thing for a protagonist to do, but when the other protagonist doesn't really have any flaws, it sticks out more. Their AC doesn't work as well, so it's very, very hot in the room. This is where like the mention of degrees Fahrenheit starts becoming really, really prevalent throughout the book, which kind of got lost in translation for me. I understand that like 80 degrees Fahrenheit is very warm. 80 is a high number. Hot rooms are horrible. So yeah, I sympathize with their terrible situation. It's also a studio apartment, so it's a very close space. It's sort of the forced proximity trope as well. Also really big fan of that trope. No problem here for me. So far, on board. It brings sort of an unresolved tension to their relationship, which is very, very entertaining. By this point, an issue rises up that like irked me for the entirety of this book, which is the description of the main character Poppy's lack of hygiene. A weird fucking like detail to add to this book. Unnecessary and distracting, and kind of took me out of the book. It doesn't really help you to empathize with the main character when they're mentioning how often she doesn't take showers, or how she doesn't see the point in taking the shower at the time if she's just gonna sweat again. Crazy thing to include in your book, in your relatable female protagonist. It's sort of used to juxtapose with his like cleanliness. He has like a fixation for taking like a lot of showers. He likes being clean and stuff. But you can have a clean freak character and have the other character not be gross. It doesn't have to be complete like extremes. She can be a normal person that bathes regularly. Just saying, like, it takes the reader out of the book. It's a weird thing to add. I know when like if you are suffering through like a mental health crisis, it's hard like to do basic things like bathing, but that's not how it's presented here. She's not presented as having that sort of mental health issue. So yeah, it's distracting. Also, there was a flashback to a point when she was sick and he went to New York to take care of her when she wets the bed. So that just piles on top of it. It was really distracting. I had to stop reading when I read that. I was like, no, this man must really love you. And they're just friends throughout all of this. They're doing like this incredible couple shit. I feel like I'm just being gaslit throughout this whole book. We have this couple of characters and they behave like they like each other. They're jealous of each other's significant others. They flirt with each other all the time. They tell each other they love each other. They take care of each other when they're sick. The friendship is, where is she? I don't see the friendship. I only see the flirtationship. I only see the romance. I only see the love, I guess. Anyway, back to Palm Springs. The pool is terrible and full of people. It's incredibly warm outside. The car that they rented is terrible and smells bad. Alex has a back spasm and can't move for a day, so she has to like take care of him for an entire day. She also goes out and does other stuff, but there's that like taking care of someone when they're sick trope. There's a lot of like people getting sick in this book, actually. Like, he gets the back spasm and like can't move. There's the flashback when she has pneumonia and he takes care of her. She also like twists her ankle in a flashback as well. I swear there is more stuff that happens like medically, but I can't remember. But I swear, like, it shows up more than you would expect for like a vacation book. Everything's going on. They're kind of on edge. Their friendship isn't really that rekindled. It's a little bit awkward, especially because everything's going wrong. There's a lot of physical discomfort discomfort due to the heat. They look at each other's Tinder profiles, and which is a very fun activity. I understand that like looking at your friend's Tinder profile is very funny, but not really like your friend that you're actually in love with. You don't want to be staring at their Tinder profile where they're trying to get other women, but they do that. The AC isn't fixed. They're reaching like a boiling point, pun intended, and they basically have sex in like a balcony while it's raining. They're like, it's like this euphoric state from extreme heat. They're like dehydrated and it just starts raining. Like they're very frustrated and whatever. So like all this tension, and they have sex on the balcony. It sounded a little uncomfortable, but like go get it, I guess. Believe it or not, this is not like the climax of the book, because after that they're kind of unsure of what to do. This is before like the brother's wedding also, and this happens sort of like a little over halfway through the book, but it's kind of anticlimactic because we still have so much more to go through. We still don't know what happened in Croatia that like led to their feud and like being like, not friends for 2 years, and they still have their brother's wedding. Like everything's kind of up in the air. We don't know if they're gonna like embrace their love for each other. Like they fully declare that they love each other while they are like having sex. Like it's a very like tender moment, but there's still a lot going on. They have very different lives. They are in their 30s, so by now they are thinking of like how they're gonna like coexist. They don't know how. They have very different personalities. It's only after this that we find out what happened in Croatia, and it's so anticlimactic. I swear to God, this book doesn't have a climax. Basically what happened in Croatia 2 years ago was that they had an incredibly boring trip with a photographer from the magazine that wouldn't like leave them alone, and they basically made out one night when they were drunk, and they made things awkward, and that's it. It was incredibly anticlimactic. Like I thought something huge had happened, and especially coming after them having had sex in the balcony, like you're expecting the action to rise, like rising action. That's usually what you expect. Like I would expect something bigger to have happened in Croatia, given that it like shows up after the balcony scene, but it doesn't really. It interrupts the momentum of the present story to bring you this plot point that has been hinted at throughout the entire book, and and has been building up to it, and it's incredibly disappointing. It ends up being incredibly disappointed. So basically you broke off the pace of the current story to bring something that's disappointing. So there's nothing good about what happens in the climax or anticlimax of the book, essentially. This is very negative, but it's really not that big of a deal, honestly. It's just like very unfortunate because you can see so clearly how it could have been done better. So either make the Croatia trip more interesting or put the Croatia trip flashback before the balcony scene, so that then we can ride the momentum of the balcony scene throughout the rest of the book. Just saying, it kind of broke the flow of the story. We still have the brothers' wedding to go to, and they've had like their conversations. They've gone back to back with each other. They realize that they are really like in love with each other. It's not like a momentary thing. It's not like a holiday, like vacation thing. It is like a real thing. They go to the brothers' wedding. They do like cute coupley shit. Everyone in their families were expecting them to get together. Like always thought that would happen. Understandable. They've been friends for so long. Like I would too. Imagine having these two annoying people in your life being like, oh my god, we're just friends, we're not like dating, but like they act like a couple all the time. I would lose my mind, honestly. I would be the most annoying sibling on planet Earth if that was my sibling. But yeah, they're better people than me. They're still like living in the moment because they don't want to have to stress about what they're gonna do moving forward, because they live in different states and they have different lives. And then at the airport, they sort of have this argument where he finds out that she funded the trip and gets upset. I don't see why that's an issue. That just shows that she wanted to spend time with you, but I don't know why she didn't just tell him. Oh god, the miscommunication trope is so prevalent in this book, and I hate it. Basically, they kind of stop talking because Poppy has to figure her shit out, because Alex knows that he loves her, like, for real. He basically admits that he knew that all along. He's been in love with her all along, and like completely aware of that, sort of waiting for her to realize it or like act on it, because he was afraid that she wasn't going to reciprocate. So he was just like waiting for her to act on that relationship, I guess. So finally, our characters are separated again. They're not really talking, and Poppy has fallen into like a depression. She hates her job now. She finds no meaning in the trips that made so much sense to her. Like, it was her whole like dream, traveling. She's obsessed with traveling. She loves being at airports because she feels connected to people. This is sort of juxtaposed with her hating Ohio, and because she was bullied and she didn't have a great experience, and when she travels she feels like she can truly be herself without judgment, because she's just hanging out with people temporarily and she'll probably never see them again, but she feels like they connect on a deeper level when she's traveling, when she meets all these people. For a book called People We Meet on Vacation, they really don't meet that many people throughout the book. They meet like 3 or 4 people, like background extras, to be honest. Like, it's really not a thing in the book. It's just these 2 characters and occasionally the background extra that shows up. Shout out to Buck, like the water taxi driver. That was so fun. That's like, I really liked that part of the book. That was very interesting, and I wanted more of that throughout the whole book. Did not get it. Also, the newlywed couple that they met, they were great. I love the side characters that they meet so much, but they rarely meet anyone. It's really frustrating. I feel like that could have been explored a little bit better. Also, I feel like their regular lives could have been explored a little bit better, like the protagonists' lives. I know that the book is called People We Meet on Vacation, and it means to take place on vacation, but I don't know, I feel like we could have understood the characters a little bit better if we were experiencing their lives along with them, rather than just being told about it. This is a part that I like of the last part of the book, that you are kind of living more in the day-to-day life of Poppy. She finally gets some character development in like the last part of the book. The last couple chapters is when her character development happens. Off page, by the way. She finally goes to therapy. I'm so glad I spent all this time reading this book just to have like the main evolution of the characters not be there for me to read. Lovely. So basically, she realizes that the only times that she's really happy traveling is in those real authentic trips with Alex, not like the company funded ones where it's like fancy. She likes the budget trips, and she likes Alex. Like, he's the big reason for her to be enjoying these trips so much, and like she wants to be with him no matter where it is, whether it be Ohio or New York. So basically, she goes to Ohio, she flies there to confess her love for him for real, not in just a travel sense, like in a real, I want to be with you forever, let's figure this out. So yeah, that's sort of what happens. And she's in Ohio that she hates. She has a confrontation with Alex's ex-girlfriend, Sarah. It's a very interesting scene. I want to know more about all the side characters. I want to know more about Poppy's ex-boyfriends that are mentioned and are characters but are like very minor characters. I want to know more about them. They were very interesting. I want to know more about Sarah. I want to know more about the random people they meet on vacation that we never hear about. I want to know more about Poppy's parents, about Alex's family, about the people that they work with. And we never do. Anyway, we just waste a lot of time in previous flashback trips that don't really add that much, except for a few. A lot of this book could be trimmed down to make room for a more interesting development of other characters, or delving more into Alex and Poppy's regular life, or to add the important character development therapy that happened off page. That would be lovely as well. There's a big confession. Poppy confesses her love. Alex is hesitant. He says like, we're completely different people. I love you, but I think we're doomed. I don't think this is gonna work. And then she like goes away crying, and he like changes his mind and be like, oh, like let's do it anyways. Like, I love you. I can't like live without you, whatever. And it's in a parking lot of all places. The big love declaration happens in a parking lot. This feels like the type of book where the big love declaration would be at a airport. I know it's cliche, but people we meet on vacation book, where is the big love declaration at the airport? Just saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. In the epilogue, they have moved to New York temporarily, and they're like living together and being all cute and stuff, and that's basically how the book ends. This might be the most predictable book I've ever read, which doesn't have to be a bad thing, but when there isn't anything else going for this story, it kind of makes it a little bit more boring, because you know they're gonna get together. And I think the Croatia mystery, what happened in Croatia, is keeping the reader wanting for more and wanting to find out, I suppose, wanting to get the pieces to the puzzle. But the answer to what happened in Croatia is so boring. I do like the main characters, like despite me criticizing them and like doing that whole thing about Poppy's hygiene and whatever, like I do like them. She is a likable protagonist. Alex is extremely likable. I do understand why he's most people's favorite character, because yeah, that makes sense. Like, he is a very like well-adjusted, reasonable, kind person. But yeah, honestly, this makes me very excited for the film, because I see a lot of opportunity for improvement. This is a book that can really benefit from visual storytelling, and I think the main cast is very good, even though none of them are blonde, which is like isn't really important. The main characters are blonde in the book. Like, she's blonde, he's like blondish, which is kind of irrelevant. I don't know why I'm talking about it. In places where most people are blonde, that would be normal, but I guess for me a little bit, like when two people are naturally blonde and date, there's something like siblings are dating about it, you know? And now these are a few comments that people said about the book that I found funny / interesting. Very concerned about Poppy's hygiene habits. Yes. Moving on. Perhaps the friends to lovers trope does deserve rights. Yeah, I think it does. Like, despite what I've said throughout this whole book review, I am a fan of the friends to lovers trope. I do think this one goes like way longer than it would have realistically. I feel like if this were a little bit more plausible, they would have probably like hooked up in college and like it wouldn't have worked, and then they would have remained friends and then rekindled their romantic relationship later on. I feel like that would probably happen, like, because the first time they ever like kiss and stuff is Croatia, like actually proper makeout. That would have probably happened in college, let's be real. But anyway, ladies, if a man pulls a sad puppy face at you, run as fast as you can. I don't know what a sad puppy face is, honestly. I don't know what it's supposed to look like. Emily Henry says this all the time, like that, like Alex is pulling a sad puppy face. I don't know what that means. All that I could picture was like that dog Snapchat filter on, like, that used to be a thing in the 2010s. But that's clearly not what she meant. So I don't disagree. I don't agree either. I don't know. There's more chemistry between me and a block of cheese, and I'm a lactose intolerant. I think they had chemistry. I think they had more like romantic chemistry than they had friendship, to be honest. But that's what I took from the book, at least. So disagree, but I understand. Not gonna lie, this was boring. I love like one-liners, funny reviews. Now for some good, bad, and unhinged moments from the book. Good moments. Poppy taking care of Alex when he has a back spasm. Alex taking care of Poppy in the flashback when she had pneumonia. Buck, the water taxi driver that hosted them for a night. That was super fun. Rachel, Poppy's best friend, that I found super funny. Some of the trips I found interesting as well. The romantic chemistry between the characters I felt was strong. Alex as a character is very likable as well. I think Poppy is also very likable. Bad stuff. Poppy's lack of hygiene being a thing in the book is unnecessary. The structure of the book being misused. Some chapters could be placed in different places. Some chapters weren't necessary. There could have been a lot more context for other characters, encounters with other people during vacation, like I mentioned before. Anyway, a lot of missed opportunities that I feel could have been explored. Also, the character development happening off screen, off page, also not great. The lack of pure friendship that was kind of more overtaken by the romantic moments. I feel like there could have been more friendship stuff, pure friendship. I wanted more of the brothers' wedding. I thought the characters were very interesting, like the brother characters. Alex's dad was interesting. I would like more of that, but that didn't happen. Unhinged moments, I suppose. Balcony scene was unhinged. Having sex while it was like raining and you're like on a pile of plastic on the balcony. Not lovely. Mentioning again, Poppy's lack of hygiene was unhinged. Alex's vasectomy, which I understand was taken out of the European version of the book, but apparently, like, she had a pregnancy scare in one of the flashbacks, and apparently, like, he had a vasectomy, like, not long afterward, not because of the pregnancy scare. They weren't in a relationship, obviously, but he has some trauma with his mom dying in childbirth, if I'm not mistaken, so he like gets a vasectomy, and it's like this huge thing in the American version that they took out for the European version. Don't know why. Like, it is very unhinged. I don't know how to feel about it. That's why, like, yeah. Anyway, final thoughts. I'm really excited for the movie. I think the movie is going to be great. Again, a lot of room for improvement. The cast is wonderful. I like the trailer. I think this has everything to be a success. The book itself gets like a 3 out of 5 for me. There's a lot of missed opportunities that frustrated me. There's the anticlimactic Croatia revelation, sort of the pacing of the book being a little bit off, and it often being a little bit boring doesn't help, but I do feel like that the relationship at the core is interesting. I would like to read more Emily Henry. I liked her writing. I think her writing is very effective for the story, and it was good. So if you have any recommendations for other Emily Henry books or other books in general, I would love them. Like, I would be incredibly thankful. What did you think of this book? Do you agree with my takes? Do you disagree? Do you love the book? Do you hate the book? What do you have to say? I would love to know what you have to say, and yeah, tell me what I should cover next. Thank you so much for tagging along to this long ass video about people we meet on vacation. Probably another video of mine is going to be recommended, so consider checking it out, and thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye. I decided to sort of wear this outfit because I thought it would be like something Poppy would wear in a way. She is blonde and I'm not, but I wanted to sort of emulate her. The glasses are reflecting my ring light though, and that's not ideal, so I'm going to take them off, but the glasses are here in spirit.